welcome to Boxing in Your Face. My name is Joe Cortez, international boxing referee from Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, most recently, I was officiating a fight September 17th, 2011 at the MGM Hotel. Victor Ortiz, welterweight champion of the world, versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. And it was a great night of boxing. However, ended up at a highly controversial ending due to the fact that the fight ended unexpectedly for everybody. Myself, Floyd Mayweather, Victor Ortiz, and especially you fans out there. But this is what happened. In boxing, we all know one of the rules, main rules that we've been taught from yay high when you start out in boxing, keep your guards up at all times. Okay, we know that. Sometimes we should apply most of the time, and we don't. That particular night, Victor Ortiz did not keep his guards up at all times. As a matter of fact, when he let his guards down the first time was when he started using dirty tactics, which was the headbutt, intentional headbutt, which is flagrant headbutts. It's a no-no in boxing. That's when he let his guards down the first time. And as a referee, one of the things I tell the fighters in the dressing room is watch your headbutts inside, low punches, kidney punches, to hit your opponent while he's down. Everything was fine. First round, second round, third round, Mayweather started getting a little bit best of Ortiz. And let me explain to you one thing before I go any further. I'm not here to defend myself. I'm here to try to educate you on the protocols, the rules in boxing. And when I tell the fighters, watch your headbutt inside, then Ortiz decided to come in with the intentional headbutt. I had to call time. I called time, made sure the timekeeper saw me calling time, but sometimes I don't see you call time and the clock keeps running, or sometimes when you call time in, we're all human, the timekeeper can still have the clock on hold. So I made sure in that particular moment when I called time, Ortiz apologized to Mayweather. That's understandable. Okay, he apologized. He understood he made a mistake. Fine, that was it. Mayweather accepted it. That was it. Everybody accepted it. Okay, that was it. We took a point. Once you take a point, everything's supposed to stop there. Okay, now I take it by the wrist to the judges. Let them know I'm taking a point. I could have taken 2 points, but I didn't see any damage done when it comes to a laceration. See, you have to evaluate when you take 1 or 2 points. It's not mandatory that you take 2 points. It's mandatory you take 2 points when the infraction is so bad that one of the fighters is cut. And, you know, like I'll give you an example. When I referee Mike Tyson against Kevin McBride, Mike Tyson headbutted McBride, and what did I do? I took 2 points. Why? Because McBride got a cut. See, had McBride not received a cut, I probably would have taken 1 point. So sometimes you hear people say, well, the referee should have taken 2 points. Well, it's up to my discretion because there was no injury done as far as a laceration. I didn't see any. If there was one, they said maybe he had a little cut inside the lip. I didn't see that. So I took 1 point. Then what you do is call the fighters back together. When you signal the fight with your hands, in any other sport, signals with the hands, which is a goal, or whether it's a strike or whatever, you do it with the hand signals. We know that sometimes the fighters cannot hear because of the crowd yelling and whatnot, so you just the sign, time in, or you bring them together, they know the time is in, keep your guards up. Ortiz wanted to come back to apologize again. I was, to my surprise, because as I said, time is in, I said, let's go. I'm looking to the timekeeper, making sure that he got his clock running when I gave him the verbal command, just to make sure that 1 or 2 seconds did not go without me calling the time in. I will make sure his clock is running. So anyway, as I looked briefly to make sure that his time was in, Mayweather comes with the punch. Why? Because Ortiz dropped his guards to come and apologize again, to everybody's surprise. But Mayweather was very alert. He knows that in the rules of boxing, when the referee says time in or just give you a signal, we know that time is in. You capitalize every second you can. And that's what Mayweather did. Ortiz went to apologize. Here comes the left. And as I'm looking from the corner of my eye, I see that left coming. I look, and here comes the right. Down goes Ortiz. And what do? I have to follow the rules. I can't deviate from the rules. I know some of the fans didn't like that. It's something that if you're an Ortiz fan or any boxing fan will say, well, you know, the guy was reaching out. It was not right. The rule says once a referee says time in, keep your guards up. You make a mistake and drop your guards, you're going to get clipped. The referee got to do his job. Which is what I did. I had to count him out. Now, can you imagine if I would have said, no, that doesn't count? Then that would have been a really controversial ending, because then they would have said the other way, well, Joe, you called time in. Time was already in. How can you not give to Floyd Mayweather to win? So, or let's say it was the other way, where Ortiz would have clocked Mayweather. What would I have to do? I have to do the same thing. I have to count out Mayweather. So 50% of the fans are going to hate me, and 50% are going to love me, because those who know boxing will say, well, let's go to some of the writers here that wrote some of the articles the day right after the fight, and you got some reporters that are saying, wait, keep your guards up at all time. And here's some are upset that those people don't quite grasp the fact that the fight had restarted, and the cardinal rule of boxing is to protect yourselves at all times. This is from Don Rafael from ESPN. Now these are the kind of things. And then there's something else from Don Rafael. This is the first night, right after the fight. Protect yourselves at all times. It is the oldest adage in boxing. Victor Ortiz did not do that, and he had paid the ultimate price. So in other words, if Ortiz would have not come with the intentional headbutt, and he not, it says here, Cortez way back the fighters to touch gloves, okay? You know, and they touch gloves, but then you'd have to come back again and try to apologize another time. It was no need for that. And this is where the controversy comes in, where people are saying, well, you know, he meant to reach out, he was a nice guy. Yeah, he was a nice guy. Victor Ortiz, as far as I'm concerned, he's a gentleman. I know him as a great fighter. I've been with him. I refereed his fights in the past. Never had a problem with him. It's just that one fraction of a second, when I look to the right, to the timekeeper, here comes the unexpected blow from Mayweather, because I wasn't expecting for Ortiz to reach out again to touch his gloves or to embrace him or to apologize. There was no need for that. That's what caught me off guard. That's what caught Ortiz off guard. We learn that when your kid's coming up in boxing, you don't bring your guards out for nothing once the referee says time in, or does the signal. You know, once they touch the gloves at the beginning of the fight, that's it. You only touch gloves when I give you the instruction, and then at the beginning of the last and final round of the fight, when that final round, they come together, they touch gloves, and that's it. Those are the only two times you're supposed to touch gloves. Okay? So anyway, to make a long story short, Ortiz went home, thank God, safe and sound, and there was a press conference where people tried to point fingers at me, where they saw me looking at slow motion. It looked like forever. It was only a second. I looked, and I looked back. Again, I think as a referee, I did my job. My commissioner, Keith Kaiser, spoke. You guys saw this on HBO. He spoke about the job, the protocols of the referee, and what I did that night, and they were 100% with the way I officiated the fight. The chairman of the commission, and a lot of boxing historian people who know boxing, know the rules inside out, know that I did my job 100%. But you're going to find those that are going to try to point fingers at someone, and unfortunately try to point fingers at me. In this business, you have to have thick skin, and but I can handle it. And I tell you, fans, if I had to do it all over again, I'll do it the same exact way. I did my job as a professional. Everything I did that night, even looking at the timekeeper, I've done that hundreds and thousands of times without no problem. Again, the unexpected came when Mayweather threw the punch, but it was within the time frame. It was legal. Larry Merchant called it the best. He said it was a legal sucker punch. And life goes on. Everybody goes to the next chapter. Talking about the next chapter in my life, the next day after the fight, I had to go out to Bloomington, Indiana to speak at students at the University of Indiana. It was a great, great experience. It was Hispanic Heritage Month, and a lot of students, believe me, a lot of them were not Spanish, but they came out to this event. I had the honor of speaking to them for an hour and a half at the University of Indiana. And then the next night, I went to Purdue University, and that was in Lafayette, Indiana. It was another great experience. I spoke to them for 2 hours. It was the best engagement I've ever been in as far as talking with students, because they had so many questions about life in itself, about the way I grew up. If you read my bio on my website, you'll see where I came from in New York and the great times I had while growing up in a very tough neighborhood. The great Gaspar Indian Ortega got me started in boxing when I was 12 years old, when I first met him. And it got me interested in boxing. I didn't start until I was 15. But talking to the students, and I was really charging up the students at the university, and I have a gentleman by the name of Randy Brent. I take it back, it's Randy Roberts. Randy Roberts is a professor at the University of Purdue, and he's an historian and boxing and different sports, but he was so delighted to have me there because of he sent me the email after I left and said how I charge up the students at the university. He want me to go back again, see how we could work hand in hand together with future events. But it was great going to Indiana, and I also went to visit the boys clubs in Bloomington, Indiana, and of course that touches my heart very much because I grew up in New York, and I was a product of the boys clubs when I won my Golden Glove championships. And one of the things I enjoyed doing at the boys club was talking to these kids from the ages of 8 to 12. I had about 50 kids in this room, and I was talking to them, and it was very nice, and I spoke to them for about 25 minutes, and then I was signing autographs on their sneakers, on their shirts, on the forehead. One kid wanted it was very nice, but the most touching moment of that trip was when I was ready to leave the boys club. A little kid comes up to me after all the kids left the room and said, "Sir, can you please give me a hug?" And that really touched my heart. I got a knot in my throat when he said that. Not only did I hug him, I gave him a big kiss on his forehead. And I think that made my trip, and I'm sure, and I hope it made his life. And he'll never forget this for the rest of his life. Guys, with that said, God bless. See you next week.